You know, on these smaller lakes like we have here, these fish tend to roam the shallows early in the morning, and then they'll just kind of move out on the ledges in the deeper water. And here we've got a little ledge, a little lip. It's about 6 or 7 feet, thrown up into 0 feet of water here in these weed beds. Those fish tend to move up early, and then they just back off. And I've noticed as a kid fishing farm ponds, I would be stationary on the bank fishing an area, and I'd just see these bass. They'd circle a lake about every hour or two. They'd come back around. So I think these fish tend to get up in these shallows, and then they just migrate around the lake as the day goes on. So what I thought we'd do, starting out, we'd try this flatter area, the shallow grass beds, and just work our way down, fish off the lip, and see if we can't locate where they're at.
Also on today's show, we'll see one of nature's most priceless possessions, an animal extinct in the wild for several hundred years. And later, Hank and professional golfer Steve Malik will tee off in search of some fine Florida fishing.
Incredible. Unbelievable.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
This is Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine, featuring the first sportsman to win both the Bassmasters Classic and the title Bass Angler of the Year, Hank Parker.
Catfish. Can you believe that? It's a catfish on a spinnerbait. Look at that son of a gun jump like a bass. I have never, I have caught a catfish. I've caught a catfish on a spinnerbait, but I've never caught one on a spinnerbait when he jumped like a bass. Oh, that's not a good release. I don't know if he'll probably have a headache for a day or two. He'll remember a spinnerbait next time. He rolled up there and got that spinnerbait just like a bass. I saw it come up, I thought it was a bass. How about that? Well, oh, look at the ducks coming out of the timber. Man, look at the ducks down in the timber. I tell you, my lab would really be upset. We got 2 coming in behind us here. What ducks are in the timber this morning? That is fantastic. Something about a mallard duck turns me on. There goes some more coming up out of the timber. A pair of them. I think I know where to put the decoys. Well, I tell you what, I have caught so many big fish off of fence rows. When you're fishing a fence row, always come in where you can make a parallel cast, where you can bring your bait right alongside the fence row instead of trying to cross. Of course, it's easy to hang. You got the barbed wire, like this fence we have here has got the barbed wire still strung. It's awful easy to get hung up, and a lot of times you'll get a big fish on and he'll take you between the poles and take you around that wire, and then it's all over with. It just break you off. That is some prime structure. I've caught an awful lot of big fish on fence rows. They really like it. You know, when you're fishing some prime structure like you have here, don't just go up and make 1 or 2 casts. Try several casts. Sometimes it'll take 4, 5, or 6 casts to get him to hit. And it's one of those areas you almost know for sure it's holding a fish. So spend a little more time and make several casts. And when you have a fence like we have here, try and fish the outside of it first and then work your way on into the shoreline rather than try and make that real long cast and risk messing the whole thing up. A spinnerbait is always a good bait to fish a fence row with because you can throw it in there and fish it shallow, and then as the fence row gets a little deeper, gets out further, you can let your bait down. Cover it top from bottom. Boy, it's pretty. It's a beautiful lake. Boy, those geese just can't hardly stand for it to get too close to them. My lab would sure be upset with me if he knew what I was out here doing with all those birds on the water. There he is, good fish. Oh, big fish, big fish. Oh man, look what a fish. Oh God. Boy, look, man, got a big one. Oh, come here, baby. Man, look at the mouth on that fish. Whew. Can you believe that? Look what a mouth. Man, that is a giant. God, that fish, I'm telling you, I thrown that spinnerbait right up there on the bank, and I brought the spinnerbait back, and I really wasn't expecting the fish to hit it. And I saw him swirl, and he swirled and missed the bait, and I kind of let the bait drop back down, and he just sucked it in. Boy, that is a big fish. I want you to look at the mouth on that fish. Whew. It's unreal. That is a giant. I don't know what he'll weigh, but when I first saw him and I saw that head coming up, I thought he weighed 20 pounds. Boy, it is a beautiful fish. Oh, you know, that's a thrill for me. Watch, there she goes. Well, that's a thrill to catch a fish that big and release it knowing it'll be caught again someday. That's great. I love it. Woo! Do it again, do it again.
Well, here's one of the most unusual things that happen in nature. Right here laying on the ground are two shed antlers. These antlers, unusual as they are, that they're shed every year by a deer, and then each year they grow out. These particular ones are the rare antlers off the Pierre David deer, the most unusual deer on all the earth. 500 left on the face of the earth. On this planet, only 500 deer. We have some in this park, and these antlers were shed by that deer. Can you imagine growing this out each end of summer to be shed the following spring? This antler must weigh 15 pounds, and you take a set of them, and you're talking about 30 pounds, and each year they grow again. Now, if you were thinking about an antler, you'd probably think that if I were the deer, those antlers would be facing this way, and on a normal deer they would be. However, the Pierre David's deer is the only deer on the face of the earth that wears his antlers backward.
In a moment, we'll join Jerry Hagee at Arbuckle Wilderness and take a closer look at the rarest deer on earth. And a little later, Hank will be joined by pro golfer Steve Malik.
At last, the ultimate in fish-finding technology, Humminbird's LCR Liquid Crystal Recorder, the depth sounder that bridges the gap between flashers and charts, combining the best features of both. Now the most advanced concepts in sonar are combined with state-of-the-art microcomputer innovations to bring boaters and fishermen more features and more fish-finding versatility than any other depth sounder on the market. LCR, the creation of a new generation from Humminbird.
There are 3 ways you can try moving closer to these fish. With a gas outboard, with a noisy electric, or with a quiet Minn Kota electric. To a fisherman, the choice is black and white. Minn Kota, the quiet power that catches fish.
At Ranger, people are important. People like Garland Hurst and Randy Hopper that have helped build every boat. That kind of experience is hard to beat. Because we fish, we listen to our friends who own Ranger boats. Their ideas frequently are the best ones. Most of our boats are still being used, and we've been building them over 15 years. That Ranger quality goes into each boat we build, one boat at a time.
Go for it with Ryobi. Tough, dependable reels for any kind of fishing. Ryobi. There's never been a better reason to go fishing.
Down below me is one of the most unusual scenes anywhere on the face of the earth. We're watching two Pierre Davids, which are extinct in the wild. I mean, there's not another one left on the face of the earth other than 500. And in the wild, there are none left in the wild. One of the unusual things you may notice about the Pierre David's deer is its very, very strange tail. If you'll notice, that tail it's long, and they call it a tail like a donkey. And there's no other deer species on earth that has a tail like that. It hangs about midway down its leg. Also, that if we could get close enough, you could hear the hoofs make a crackling sound with each step they take. And it's also the only deer that makes that sound. It goes click, 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 click. Every time it makes a step, the hooves click. These deer, of course, came from north and central China, and they've been extinct in the wild since really we don't even know when. They were last seen and inside the Chinese emperor's garden. And of course that garden is a little bit of a misnomer. The fence along the garden was 40 miles long. And a Jesuit priest by the name of Armand David, who was a very well-known zoologist of that time, actually bribed a guard so that he could peek over the wall. Now, it was forbidden, remember, for anyone to see over the top of that wall. But he bribed this guard, and he climbed the wall and looked over, and just at that moment, as fate would have it, he saw 120 deer pass by. The only remaining group of these deer left on the planet. How unusual. And then a catastrophe occurred. One of the many, many floods that happened in China in the 1890s actually swept away the entire fence and many of the other animals throughout all of China. The deer escaped out of the emperor's garden and were quickly killed by the starving Chinese. And in 1920, only one deer of this species was left in all of China. But fortunately, those that had been sent to England, they lasted and they multiplied and they continued to expand and to breed and to populate, and later on they began to ship them into the Americas. Now there are some 500 of these deer, of course extinct in the wild, but there are 500 held by private compounds like this one, and in zoos and other animal breeding areas throughout the world. Had we zoologists and conservationists not done something about this animal years and years ago, they'd be gone forever from the face of the earth. We really would. We would have lost. In fact, we did lose this battle. There are none left in the wild. But thanks to people that care about animals, these are saved, and future generations, hopefully, can forever see the Pierre David, the rarest deer on earth.
Malik's going to be joined by sports commentator Steve Malik.
Usually up here, about another half mile, this thing splits. And a bunch of gators in there because there's a lot of food in there.
Ron, this is the only lure that'll catch fish on this lake. I got half of mine not to let you fish it because you don't have extra strong trilene on that reel. Don't lose it.
The only place this lure is going is down a big old hog's throat. Uh-oh.
Doggone it, Ron, I'm going to show you why you need trilene. It's up to 20% stronger. It's the line the tournament pros use, and it's the line that set 400 world records in just 12 months.
To be perfectly honest, I can't tell you I catch fish every time I go fishing, and I can't tell you that every time I use fish formula, I catch them. But I can promise you, on the slow days, it definitely helps me catch bigger fish. I'll stake my reputation on it, and so will these other well-known fishermen.
Hey, let me tell you something. Fish formula works. Under all sets of situations, it'll help you increase your odds of catching big fish like this.
Parker's Outdoor Magazine will continue in a moment.
At last, the ultimate in fish finding technology. Humminbird's LCR liquid crystal recorder. The depth sounder that bridges the gap between flashers and charts, combining the best features of both. Now the most advanced concepts in sonar are combined with state-of-the-art microcomputer innovations to bring boaters and fishermen more features and more fish-finding versatility than any other depth sounder on the market. LCR, the creation of a new generation from Humminbird.
There are 3 ways you can try moving closer to these fish. With a gas outboard, with a noisy electric, or with a quiet Minn Kota electric. To a fisherman, the choice is black and white. Minn Kota, the quiet power that catches fish.
Boy, it is getting hot, too, I'm telling you.
This is not your typical December weather.
Got 'em. Look at this. Oh, better fish. That fish rolled over 3 times.
I'm gonna reset my drag here. Well, how we doing there? Is it 2-0?
You're doing better. I tell you what, I got to get me out of surface lure. I tell you what I'm going to do, though. You know, when we fish the tournaments, it's
He doesn't get out much, does he? Does he get a chance to fish much?
I'm going to tell you like I told some of those football fans the other night when the pro game was on, and I won't name any teams because I think a lot of our viewers out there may write me some hate mail, but one of the teams was leading my team by 21 points at halftime, and I told them they were kind of like the rooster, that on a cloudy night when the clouds parted and the moon shined through about midnight, he started to crow and he realized it was only midnight. And when the game was over, that 21-point halftime lead fell, and they ended up losing by about 7 points. So.
That's not that team just north of Richmond, Virginia, is it?
Well, kind of in the nation's capital, you know. But I won't call any names. Their initials are the Washington Redskins, but I won't.
You know, we're spoiled out here in Florida. You can fish like this and catch a lot of fish. Or you can go, say, shiner fishing or go to specific points and go for big fish. But there's a lot of big fish in here.
You know, there's an awful lot of talk about big fish, 8 and 10 and 12-pound fish, but I run into a lot of really good fishermen that have fished throughout the state of Florida and fished all their life and really never caught a 10-pound fish.
That's
so
amazing.
I think that there's a lot more talk of the big fish than what are actually produced.
That's like all these course records guys have on the tour. They say they go home and shoot 61s and 2s, but come back out on tour and shoot 71s and 2s, and it's not the same.
Well, I thought that was pretty good. I shot a 60 once. That was on.
What'd you do on the back nine?
That was on the front nine. You've heard that with me, boy. You know, I only played one game of golf in my life. My brother, who is a great guy and a super sport. Well, I tell you, we've had some really good times together, but he's just, unfortunately, never been able to beat me. As kids, we used to fish and hunt, and he just really hadn't beaten me in anything. And so he took up golf, and I had never played golf before. He had been playing about 3 months, and he called me one Saturday and says, what you got going on today? I said, well, not much. He said, good, I got us a tee time for noon. I said, man, what are you talking about? Of course, I live by the golf course, and he said, well, he said, over at your place, I said, I just got us a tee time. He said, I think we'll go play a game of golf. I said, man, I don't have any shoes, any clubs, I don't have anything. He said, don't worry, I got it all. So he had borrowed me some old clubs and things and brought them over there, and of course, he was ready for me. He had been over there practicing. He was
laying in wait, wasn't he?
He was ready, and I ended up beating him by 3 strokes.
And you haven't gone back since?
He hadn't played a game of golf himself since that day. I hadn't either.
In other words, that's going to be equivalent to me out fishing you today?
That's about the same, right. You know, I am a very generous person.
Up to a point, is that what you're telling me?
No. I get a guest on the show, and I never try and out-fish him, you know. I just kind of let him have all the good stuff. You know, I knew where those fish were, and I just kind of let you have at them, you know. He's down in that grass.
There you go.
How about that? He was in that thick part of that grass.
Sure
I mean,
was.
I want you to look at that fish. You think he hadn't been in some black water?
Pulled him out of the middle of that, didn't
Wow, look at that hook.
He's dark, isn't he? That's a black bass.
That is a black bass. How about it? Look like he's been dipped in oil. Boy, I got him hooked good, I'll tell you what.
He hit you pretty good?
He hit it good. He hit it really good. That's a nice fish.
Well, you're not going to get shut out now.
I've caught up with you. That fish right there will weigh, oh, it's close. Gonna go to the wire.
All right. There's a lot of food in here. We talked about it earlier, but there's a lot of food in here.
You know, I wonder, though, if the bass that here in northern Florida have read the same book that I've read.
Which book is that?
They don't seem to be following suit. Every book I've ever read said where the tidal water's running out of a marsh or a little cut, there ought to be a fish.
Well, see, you're a North Carolina boy. They don't have any tidal changes up here around Charlotte.
I see. Got a fish. How about this, a red?
Yeah, I told you.
Something. I don't know what I got.
It's a red.
Hey, all right.
Got a pretty red.
How about that? How about that? That's the first one I guess I've ever caught.
Yeah, boy, they're good eating.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Pretty. Beautiful fish.
That's the nice thing about this area. You know, you go downriver, catch reds.
That is so neat.
Yeah.
Largemouth bass and saltwater fish in the same water. He hit that little crankbait. I think we're right about the mouth of the creek, so I don't know, maybe this is a pattern that'll be a lot of fun catching variety. The one thing about it is you don't know what you're going to catch. I tell you what, since I've got a special pro commentator with me, let me get you to tell the people how we're going to make our move.
Well, how about We'll be back with more fishing action from the Nassau River after this word from Ranger Boats.
Boy, I wish I could do that, man. That's sharp.
At Ranger, people are important. People like Garland Hurst and Randy Hopper that have helped build every boat. That kind of experience is hard to beat. Because we fish, we listen to our friends who own Ranger boats. Their ideas frequently are the best ones. Most of our boats are still being used, and we've been building them over 15 years. That Ranger quality goes into each boat we build, one boat at a time.
Go for it with Ryobi. Tough, dependable reels for any kind of fishing. Ryobi. There's never been a better reason to go fishing.
Ron, this is the only lure that'll catch fish on this lake. I got half of mine not to let you fish it because you don't have extra strong trilene on that reel. Don't lose it.
The only place this lure is going is down a big old hog's throat. Uh-oh.
Doggone it, Ron, I'm going to show you why you need trilene. It's up to 20% stronger. It's the line the tournament pros use, and it's the line that set 400 world records in just 12 months.
To be perfectly honest, I can't tell you I catch fish every time I go fishing. And I can't tell you that every time I use fish formula, I catch them. But I can promise you, on the slow days, it definitely helps me catch bigger fish. I'll stake my reputation on it. And so will these other well-known fishermen.
Hey, let me tell you something. Fish formula works. Under all sets of situations, it'll help you increase your odds of catching big fish like this.
Hey, you're pretty good at that, I'm telling you. Oh, man, that is unbelievable. I'll tell you. Hey, thanks for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. God bless you. I'm Hank Parker. Let me see that club. I think I can do it. Got all them balls, I guarantee.
Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine, sponsored by Fish Formula. We fool Mother Nature. Humminbird Depth Sounders. Minn Kota, quiet power catches fish. Ranger Boats, we still build them one at a time. Ryobi, there's never been a better reason to go fishing. And by Trilene, extra strong.
The house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hank, this is Tom. You told me to call you when they're biting. They're biting.
Gone fishing.